So I think they're ready for us. Let's get it. We got next. So welcome everyone for being here. We appreciate you as always tuning in for our different conversations that we like to have. And this one is like no other. This one, outside of us having similar names, is one that even before we got started, we were able to just jump right into a conversation. So we have Chris Banbury here. I'll give a more formal introduction when we get to the segment, but he is a West Coast person for everyone out there. So he's a Husky. Stephen, if you're watching this, University of Washington, for everyone out there, Stephen is a Penn State person. So he loves talking college all the time. But I just want to let everyone know out there. So my name is Christian Hayes. I'm one of the co-hosts of We Got Next. And the big reason for this channel, we're trying to bridge the gap between sports and cryptocurrency. As you might have seen, a lot of times you start to see like Saquon Barkley or Mark Cuban, Spencer Dinwiddie, and even Russell Okung. They start to bring up sports, but then you also have FTX exchange that now it's going to be called the FTX Arena in Miami. And shout out to Miami for all the signings that they've been doing recently. But then also what FTX is doing with the MLB, now the umpires come next year will have a patch on their jerseys that will say FTX. So it's a lot of big things that are happening, and we just want to bring it into one place so that everyone can understand it. And it's just one spot that you can get your sports, and then you can also get your inside stuff on when it comes to cryptocurrency. To start everything off, we want to just let everyone know about the giveaways that we are doing right now. So the first one is we're doing $100 in Bitcoin that we will be giving away once we hit 100 subscribers and when we get 100 likes on a video. It seems like a small one if everyone follows me on Twitter, but it's one of those things of you can see what I talk about on Twitter, but it's another big thing to end up talking about it on YouTube as well. Not everyone likes to read things. We want to give it to you wherever we can meet you. The next big thing we want to just congratulate everyone on, for everyone in America, is congratulations to the United States men's soccer team for winning the Gold Cup. That was a big thing for them. Another thing we want to end up crediting, I won't talk about every single Olympic sport because there's so many. You can talk about either if it's water polo, you could talk about soccer, almost anything. But I want to give a huge congratulations to the women's Jamaican national team for the 100 meters, because they didn't just finish first or second or third. They finished 1 through 3. So we have to give credit to Miss Thompson Hurrah. We have to give credit to Fraser Price and Miss Jackson. The big one is number 2, Fraser Price. She is about, I think they said 33 or 34, and she was still killing it. If you saw any of the women in the Jamaican running when they did it, they were jogging around like the first and second round. They would run, but then they slowed up at the end. Whereas you saw everybody else, and I was talking to my friends, it's so bad when they're able to just jog throughout the first and second round. Meanwhile, you have everybody else. I saw people from like Israel, even South Africa, all different walks of the globe, and they're sprinting like their life depends on it. Then the Jamaicans are just, all right, we'll just make it to the next round. And even in their press conferences afterwards, they were like, it was just the first and second round. We don't want to give it our all yet. What do we have left to give if we do that? And I'm thinking you have to be another world being if you're able to end up saying, we're going to push it the next level. These people giving it their blood, sweat, and tears. But I just wanted to give a shout out to them. Next thing I want to talk about is the NFL really quick. So if you all tune in on Thursday, Steven and I will be giving our fantasy football predictions out there just to help everybody. This week, we'll be doing the wide receivers again, but we want to talk about Carson Wentz. So everyone that knows, I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan. So I was happy when we traded him because we thought we were going to get a first round pick, but Carson Wentz got injured again and he is having surgery. So he's probably going to be out 5 to 10 weeks. If you end up looking at a calendar that either puts you towards September or the first week of November. So they don't necessarily know, but it's one of those things that certain athletes feel the same way about Todd Gurley, how they did him. The Eagles and then the Rams, they both like, nope, we're going to get rid of this guy. And they just keep getting injured. So I do feel bad when it comes to them. Devontae Smith, for everyone out there for the Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver, he's going to be out for 2 weeks. But we don't just want to stick with the Eagles or the Colts. We want to talk about Mekhi Becton. If you all just see one picture of the man, he is a massive human being. So he's 6'7". And if you look at just the different linebackers that are out there, he looks so much taller than them, but yet all of them are football players. But if you just check out one picture of Mekhi Becton, you'll understand what I'm saying. Steven will give an in-depth breakdown on Mekhi Becton. So just stay tuned for that one. The next things I want to run through really quickly, and then we'll end up moving on to more cryptocurrency stuff, are for everyone out there that is an NBA fan. So there were a lot of signings that happened today, and we'll break down them more throughout the week, because if I just keep looking at my phone, I'll see more. So CP3 declined. So Chris Paul, CP3 declined his player option of 44 million, but he ended up re-signing with the Phoenix Suns for a 4-year, $120 million deal. Kawhi Leonard declined his player option as well, but he's expected to end up signing a longer term deal. A lot of these athletes in almost any sport, they don't want just to have the 1 year. Look at the Le'Veon Bell situation. You never know if you're going to get injured or something. You want that security. And if you have that 4 years, the man Chris Paul is going to be getting paid until he's 40 years old at this point. They said throughout his whole year, all of his contracts, he's made over $446 million throughout every single contract. So not only is Chris Paul set, his sons, daughters, grandkids, they're all going to be set just with the amount of money this person has been able to do. And I was joking with my friend, for shooting a basketball through a hoop, he is getting paid over $446 million. Next one I want to bring up, the Caruso is now going to Chicago. Alex Caruso is going to Chicago, but Dwight Howard and Wayne Ellington are now going back to the Los Angeles Lakers because they want to run it back again. Russell Westbrook, for everyone out there that's a Westbrook fan, he is going to be on the LA Lakers as well. If you didn't catch our other episode, Mike Conley signed a 3-year, $68 million deal with the Utah Jazz. Jimmy Butler is getting his max deal. He is getting a 4-year, $184 million deal. Jared Allen, who's on the Cleveland Cavaliers, is getting a 5-year, $100 million deal. TJ McConnell is signing with the Pacers for 4 years, $35 million. The numbers are just going to keep going up if you're still listening at this point. And then Lonzo Ball agreed to a 4-year deal with the Chicago Bulls. Trae Young just agreed to a 5-year deal worth $170 million, and it can go up to a $201 million contract, which would be the supermax of that one. Duncan Robinson signed a 5-year deal worth $90 million, and I'll just stop with that. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on just the amount of money that these players are getting paid?
Well, honestly, I think they deserve it. Like, how much revenue do they really generate?
Yes.
For the owners, for the city, for everything like that. So, honestly, who should be getting paid? They should be getting paid because what they did, right there, definitely.
Yeah, so that's the big thing within the NBA. And I joke around with Steven because we always talk about what sports we want our kids to play when they grow up. And we always say baseball or basketball because the injuries aren't as bad as football. And that's something that they were analyzing. They were saying that Doug McDermott is now going to be getting more money than Nick Chubb is getting. And Nick Chubb has to do so much more for the Browns. And it's just ridiculous that the contracts they can get in these sports, but it's also not as many players that they're paying for it. So that's a big thing. It also spans longer, but for the amount of damage you're putting on your body in football, I think that they should get paid more of the players should, because of course the wide receivers are going to get paid. Quarterbacks, they're in this conversation of the amount of money. Patrick Mahomes, he's set forever. So it's like Aaron Rodgers and then Russell Wilson. But I do agree that they're finally now, just like what they're doing in college, allowing those athletes to get paid off their likeness. Chris, of course, you know that being University of Washington, those players are going to start getting paid, but they should be giving a lot more money to the players. All the billionaire owners, they're getting a lot of money. So these TV streaming revenue deals, they're able to finally pass that money down. And then it's also getting passed down to the G League. A lot of people will start to see that the G League, they're going to pay their players more, get them right out of high school so that they don't have to go to the college. So it's just all around better. So congratulations to all of them. But that's not why we're here. So we are here to end up talking to the graduate from University of Washington. He is the head of global business development for Conflux Network. We have Chris Banbury here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. So just to start off, I got to ask you the question that everyone always wants to know. So when did you get involved in cryptocurrency and what was your first cryptocurrency?
I'm saying I may have a novel, probably situation here. A little background on myself. I lived in China for over 10 years from 2006 to 2016. Wow. So I was a lot of international things. So I got into crypto because I was looking, not just in China, but around the world, of how to move funds around, in a legal and almost easy manner. So that honestly was the catalyst about 2014. Let's really get into it. Looking at Bitcoin at the time, because what else was there really? Ethereum hadn't, done their ICO or raised funds and prior to ICOs, I guess, and whatnot. And so, that really got me started was, honestly, like looking how to move money around. But like, I don't know, I'm a tech dreamer. So I really like kind of on the, blockchain and like, what the possibilities for like economic inclusion and whatnot. And so that really started my journey there. I guess to answer your second question, so it was Bitcoin. It was my first cryptocurrency there. So I've been 7 years, I guess I've been in the game now. So, happy to be like growing. I mean, with Conflux, they actually able to drive the industry instead of just like be on the periphery and using it, actually making it.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And I always like to hear the answers because you can tell so much about how engaged and involved the person has been by just asking them that question. Because if they say the first one was Dogecoin, it's like, all right, we kind of know how you got involved. No hate to Dogecoin, but you can kind of tell the person you're dealing with. Whereas if you have a background or say like Bitcoin or Ethereum, the ones that have been around that have been trying to do it for a while, you can kind of understand. So that's a big question I like to ask everybody. Now, the other thing is, when did you get involved with Conflux and how did you get involved with them?
Okay, cool. I mean, Conflux, okay, I got involved with Conflux about a year and a half ago. It's a little background, like, okay, we have our 3-year anniversary. That's where this is our 3-year anniversary shirt. So like we raised funds in a compliant way 3 years ago, $35 million.
That's good.
Yeah, which is good. Compliant is very key. We didn't do an ICO. We're actually born out of Tsinghua University in China, and we actually are compliant in China. And so to have any sort of compliance in China, you could have never done an ICO. And so had that honestly the number one step right there. It's like, again, 3 years. I joined a year and a half ago. I've consulted within the crypto industry. I've worked for a crypto custodian before, but I want to say like my main thing is decentralization and honestly like a global collaboration. I mean, that sounds altruistic and whatnot, but like I got connected to Conflux again a year and a half ago. I think it's the only blockchain that can connect China and the world, and I think that's a pretty important thing to do. Simply because the fact is like we have a lot of walled gardens now. And I don't like walled gardens. I don't think anyone in blockchain like walled gardens. And so like, again, in my opinion, joining Conflux really because of it can offer, Chinese market to the world and connect the world and so everyone can benefit.
Yeah. So you said a bunch of different things. And the first thing I want to just let everyone know about is some of the rules and regulation that China has. If you even look at the stock market, like what they're kind of doing, with certain stocks that are out there trying to be in America, some of them, they don't know if they'll be delisted or not because you have to make sure to adhere to the Chinese regulations. And Chris brought up the word compliance. So for this company to be compliant in China, they had to adhere to certain things. And ICO is something that you can't have everywhere. So you always have to make sure to do that. You start to see with other cryptocurrencies, they just think because it's decentralized or anything like that, they don't have to adhere to any rules. Well, the country's going to find a way to make sure that you're still listening to everything. So that's something I do appreciate that not a lot of people in cryptocurrency realize. You still have to be compliant. You can't just go raging and go crazy and stuff like that. You still have to adhere to things. And then the other thing I do want to touch on. So what is Conflux? And then what is blockchain for people out there that don't know?
Cool. I mean, maybe we'll start with what blockchain is first, if people don't know. Honestly, okay, it's just like you have like a chain. Okay, a bunch of links in it. You can look at each link as like a block, and each block has transaction in it. So each block in that chain has all the previous transactions that came before. So you can know. It's like the beauty of blockchain is something happened, when it happened, and it's immutable. So you can't go back and change things and whatnot. It's simply like I guess the linearity of time. Things happened at a certain time, and then those things that happened, be it transactions, are contained within these blocks, and then these blocks are sequential, and they contain all the previous transactions, and I guess, from the beginning of the blockchain.
Yeah.
And then then Conflux, if I wanted to go on that here. So, so again, I already mentioned that we're compliant in China, which is a huge thing right there. We're permissionless or public, however you want to term that. And L1, we have zero gas fees. You all know about Ethereum, significant gas fees on Ethereum. So to do a transaction, you can't do microtransactions. So we can do that right there. We're also Ethereum or EVM compatible, which is super important. I mean, I mentioned walled gardens before. We don't want to require things. And so like if, something deployed on Ethereum, can, relatively easily be deployed on Conflux. We also actually even though like we're actually a proof of work blockchain, we still offer staking mechanisms. We could actually even earn 4% staking on Conflux right there. So we're kind of a new beast out there.
That's good. So you touched on permissionless blockchain. So what is permissionless blockchain for people that don't necessarily understand that word?
honestly, it's like a blockchain anyone can use. Like anyone can build on it. Like anyone can like, if you want to like, for example, like when proof of work is like when you want to prove a transaction, you have to solve a complicated mathematical problem, like with computation. Then like anyone can do that right there. It's really anyone could participate in the network, whether it be building on the network, whether it be like running the network. It's just like it's public. Anyone can use it.
Cool. So that's something that I think that not as many people understand, even though it's a simplistic term. A lot of people always hear the word blockchain, but they think it's something different whenever you hear permissionless blockchain. So I appreciate you breaking that down. And when was Conflux created, or how did the idea of it come about?
So yeah, 2018, 3 years right here. But really the idea behind it was like tackling the scalability and limitations of blockchain technologies. For those that don't know, like Bitcoin is super slow. So is Ethereum. Yeah. If you want to do a transaction, like it takes like a long time, it could be expensive too right there. And so, but it's a very key thing to indicate here. Proof of work is what is currently used for for Bitcoin and Ethereum. We all know Ethereum is trying to go to proof of stake into 2.0. But proof of work is actually only proven decentralized technology. A lot of issues with proof of stake and centralization of people like, I guess the whales holding significant assets and winning the lottery for proof of stake. And so that's why we actually looked at proof of work, because, our ethos is straight up decentralization. And so, we figure that this, versus other like Byzantine fault tolerance mechanisms like proof of stake, proof of work is the only one that can be decentralized. And so we took it and scaled it up. And so we actually have a proof of work chain, and we have essentially a side chain. So we have a directed acyclic graph. So you have like the main chain, and like these side chains they pivot back onto the main chain essentially to make it fast.
So bringing up the word fast, I want to touch on scalability. So What is scalability? And just break it down in terms of like Bitcoin and then Ethereum. And let's even talk about like PayPal and Visa.
Sure, cool. Like, okay, so I guess you could look at PayPal and Visa as like a permissioned, like are private out there. It's a network that's private that not everyone, like I can't go and like have like a PayPal or like a Visa node or whatever they use, honestly, like for transactions and whatnot. Like, I guess I could have had a major organization. I might be able to come out and do that, but like not open to the general public. And so it's honestly super easy to scale right there when you have absolute control over something. And then like with Bitcoin and Ethereum, permissionless, like I think we even touched about this in the last question, like, scale, I even said scalability on that. Like, it's hard to scale Bitcoin and Ethereum. With Ethereum, I think there's some pretty hard cases for that. With CryptoKitties a few years ago, bogging the network down. And then like, I think honestly, like last week with Stoner Cats, like some more cats in there messing up the network right there. So that is honestly what we really looked at there, is like how to scale, like how can you like take an unscale, like something that's not scaled like Bitcoin or Ethereum, or like I guess you consider like Bitcoin maybe like a blockchain 1.0 and Ethereum a blockchain 2.0. How can you make like a 3.0 and like make it fast and cheap? And so you can avoid CryptoKitties and Stoner Cats, and people can actually build applications on a network that function and everyone can participate.
Yeah. So Chris brought up CryptoKitties, and anyone that's been in cryptocurrency for a while, they understand and know what CryptoKitties were. Some people say that it was the beginning of like NFTs. As people know it, some other people say it kind of exposed Ethereum to end up making everyone else end up having to move faster and figure out how things can be more scalable. But CryptoKitties is one of the big ones that I always think about. You touched on two different things I want to talk about. You touched on 3.0, and then you touched on different blockchains and cross-chain. So can you tell us what is cross-chain?
Yeah, cross-chain, like, well, I guess there's a couple of things. Like there's interoperability and composability. It's like interoperability means like blockchains can work together, and composability means like different like parts of like, I guess, an application can function on multiple blockchains. Kind of just backing up here, like what exists now in blockchain, like token bridges. So you can take an asset from say Ethereum, and then like we have a token bridge with Ethereum, so we can take Ethereum assets and it's called wrap them and take an asset, deploy it on Conflux. So once you move like that asset off the Ethereum network, it functions within the Conflux ecosystem. So you have zero fees, and then and it's fast there as well. So cross chain simply means like moving assets across chains. Like Conflux, we do Bitcoin, we do Binance Smart Chain, we do Ethereum, OKEX chain, and Huobi Eco chain right now, with plans for many more chains, because like I think I mentioned before, multi-chain world, no walled gardens, like people should be able to use kind of what they want, where they want.
Mm-hmm. So bringing that up, now we can end up moving to the next step, because I wanted everyone to understand what cross-chain is. So now what is Shutterflow cross-chain asset protocol?
A shuttle flow, yeah, shuttle flow is like this is one of the bridges on Conflux. So it is what the mechanism essentially that allows people to move assets from Ethereum to Conflux and Conflux to Ethereum, or Bitcoin to Conflux and Conflux back to Bitcoin essentially. And so it's essentially a bridge, a functioning bridge. Right now it's trusted. Right now it's somewhat centralized, somewhat like I want to say like an escrow. However, version, like the next version is coming out very soon, completely trustless, because like it's kind of sequential steps right there. Like, figuring out how to move assets across chains is like not an easy thing to do. So you kind of got to start out with like, a version 1.0, which like maybe somewhat centralized, but version 2.0, totally trustless. Honestly, we're doing that very soon. I know the whole industry is going to trustless bridges as it exists right now.
So my next thing is, because personally to me, and I know a lot of people listening probably are like, well, Conflux Network seems like the way to go. But for people out there that don't necessarily understand it still, can you explain the benefits of what Conflux Network is and how it can help people?
Yeah, for technical perspective, it is like it's super cheap to use, so you don't run into CryptoKitties where you're gonna the fees are going to go up, and you're just going to be paying an exorbitant amount of gas fees on our tax on things. You come in like as fast. We're at 3,000 plus transactions per second right now, maybe to 5,000, and so it's not going to bog the network down like a CryptoKitties kind of thing. And so if you use the network, you're not going to get stuck in things. You're not going to get stuck where your transaction doesn't go through or something like that. It's going to go through. And then honestly, on some of this is tangible and intangible, but of course the compliance in China, if you want I want to say your app to function as much out of the gray area as possible, it makes sense to work with Conflux. And again, with bridges too, of course we want people to deploy on Conflux. We also want to bridge things too. And, and this is a global industry. We want, to help, benefit everyone, with regards to how we work with China, benefit Conflux, benefit the whole ecosystem. And also some, we do actually work with the Shanghai government and a couple of other provincial governments too. It's just it's a lot easier to work with China. Everyone's got great tech right now, so it's a lot easier, if you want to work with China, to work with us. Yeah.
So a lot of people say China's a future, and Chris is explaining to you ways why the technology over there is a big thing. So whenever I end up talking to different individuals, I like to do research for myself. I'll never be the type that just asks random questions. So diving into it, I noticed that you all had Conflux Scan and Conflux Bounty. So can you explain what the Scan and Bounty are for everyone?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, the bounty is actually being reworked right now, but Conflux Scan is like a block explorer. So you go to it's like Ethereum's Etherscan, so you can see transactions, like the current hash rate, transactions per second. You can see and again, it's the whole list of transactions. So, it's exactly the same thing as Etherscan.
Mm-hmm. So my next thing for you would be the ecosystem grants program. Yep. What is that?
Yeah, and so any blockchain, decentralized, we want people to be building on Conflux. So we've actually allocated that's 2.4 billion in Conflux tokens over 4 years to this grants program. And I believe that's I don't want to say it's 40% of our pre-mined tokens. It's a pretty significant amount of our tokens going to community for people to build on Conflux. And so this program has just been retooled. We've put together a decentralized committee with regards to grants. Actually, I myself am on the committee, but we also have many members from the community globally, China, the West, Europe, Africa, so on and so forth in there. And honestly, it's super easy to apply. We have a forum, which I'd like to hopefully give you all that link later, but anyone can make an application for a grant. We meet every week or 2 weeks as the committee, vote who gets the grant, and then move forward from there. And then we do help people, if people have questions and whatnot, on applications, we do help people handhold a little bit, but it's mostly up to the actual community to make the application. Then once they get the grant, we actually do offer tons of help.
Wow, that's really good. So talking about all the promise you guys have currently, can you explain what the next couple of months or looking into the end of this year hold for the company?
Yeah. So we've only been on, I want to say, mainnet for about 8 months now. We're pretty new here. We're all about organic growth. That's super important. Organic growth and no walled gardens, decentralization, which is super important for us. So lot of global dApps launching on Conflux. I want to say from pretty much from every region. I've been talking to actually pretty cool to a number of people in Africa. There's some pretty cool things starting to finally really come out of there. And we think a lot with people in Africa. There's a great, I want to say, relationship. I know, greater Africa, it's very generalization. But there's like, you have China, like, and there's a big push into like, China growing the economies of many African countries. And so we see like a lot of stuff starting to come out there. And like, again, kind of going back to the compliance of Conflux, it really helps like people want to move along this new Silk Road between China and greater Africa. Like deploying on Conflux helps a lot. That's one thing right there. Moving like beyond DeFi into social, I think Vitalik mentioned at a conference relatively recently that like DeFi is great, but like what can you do to like, like instead of just like, yield farming and that kind of stuff, which is awesome. What can you do to change the world? Like, get up on social, like we know what happens, with Facebook and Twitter and, centralized social aspects. Like how if you centralize social, there's gonna be a lot of crazy stuff out there, but we're gonna be able to make it real. And so that's something that like I've been seeing a lot recently, even with some new grants that are coming our direction. And it's kind of like, what really drove crypto this past, year or so ago with the, huge bull run was this big DeFi push. I think DeFi, like early last year, $2 billion, now it's like tens and billions of dollars, it's crazy. So we like looking at social is probably maybe that next instigator right there, of actually true adoption of crypto, because like most people don't do DeFi. Most people aren't just doing yield farm on like, like food-based swaps.
Yeah.
And so, dude. And like, and so we got beyond that, like we're doing a lot of enterprise, which is pretty cool. A lot in Asia. We'll make some announcements around that soon. And I do want to say again, like laying foundations for like a multi-chain, like multicultural, I guess call it the metaverse, like which is what really next. So like that's where we're at with those.
Yeah, so a big thing, because Chris touched on a lot with the metaverse. If anyone has not ever been into cryptocurrency or anything, even Mark Zuckerberg was mentioning that he's going to try and look into like the metaverse and stuff. So it is something that a lot of people are starting to look into. You can even look on the local news channels. They'll start to see and people say, well, you can't continue to build out within the physical world. Some people are starting to build in like the metaverse world. And then also talking about like universal identities, universal profiles, having things like on the blockchain. And there's a lot of different ways that the metaverse, as we move forward, will be big. Something that Chris also brought up, and Stephen would kill me if I didn't bring this up, was talking about the latest bull run, but also Bitcoin. And Stephen always likes to ask, so I'll ask you this, Chris, why recently has there become more attention on Bitcoin than in previous years, would you say?
Oh, it's straight up mining. I mean, like, it's just like the fact that it takes a lot of power to mine, Bitcoin, specifically speaking, as we go out there. And so that's what we've seen with a lot of I guess the bear run now is like, I mean, it was Musk tweeting some stuff, out there, and then like whatever, on that. But like really like a lot around China, banning or severe limiting mining out there. However, this provides a significant opportunity because a couple opportunities here. It's like, okay, one, that honestly, majority of the mining, like Bitcoin mining, was happening in China. We don't want anything centralized in anywhere. Doesn't matter what country or any location. And so this is great. It can be moving mining to more of a global thing, and also it provides an opportunity to make it green. So there's a lot of like wind and a lot of solar, a lot of gas went out there. There's actually a lot of power companies out there that are looking for what's called like an anchor project. And so like an anchor project is someone that's going to use the energy that's produced from like the energy producer. So if you can bring a bunch of miners in there and like essentially turnkey plug them into these green energy producers, you take like 40% of the power or something like that. Then you actually have like this excess power, like they say like whatever 60% out there that you can put back into the grid if the government will allow you to put it back on the grid, green energy. And so I think this like that's like, I guess kind of back into what I said before, like social is going to be driving, I think, a lot of crypto the next year. But this making things green, and then actually it's essentially decentralized data centers then, it's energy producing, it's mining and data, like all green. That's really, I think that's really also really going to be driving the industry forward within the next, like, give it a year or so, because things are still getting out of China. I think they're still settling down, but like I can see by this time next year, some pretty cool things happening with green energy.
Yeah, so a big couple of things talking about green energy. Kathy Wood with ARK Invest, she's a big one that talks about the renewable energy. Elon Musk, love him or hate him, he goes back and forth on 1 minute saying that it uses up a lot of energy, but then he goes back and saying that he's going to work towards making more renewable energy out there. And it is something that I think a lot of people can start to realize in the sense of the energy, we're able to create new ways of renewable energy. So more people start to hear about nuclear energy, wind energy, solar energy, and hydroelectricity, just different ways that you can end up going. So we are becoming more green. And a lot of people like to have the conversation of saying, well, mining is bad for the environment and stuff. But then they start to show you these different ways that it can be better than the banks people use, than Christmas tree lights. I remember hearing that argument. And then even just other things that are out there, even mining gold and stuff, they're starting to explain that Bitcoin mining can become better, but will also help everybody else. So I think that is a big thing. And then social is going to be huge. Just like Chris was saying, you can look at almost anything. If your top influencers are talking about baby Doge or anything out there, these different meme coins, people will just follow it. So if they start understanding and seeing people like Elon Musk or Jack Dorsey and Kathy Wood explaining the benefits of real good cryptocurrencies, and then different people overseas that'll start talking about explaining the benefits using Conflux Network, it'll help everybody, because in the cryptocurrency space, and Stephen bring this up a lot, it's a community and everyone's trying to make sure to help people. You hear a big word called partnerships in cryptocurrency, whereas you don't hear that a lot of times in other places because everyone just wants to get money and then end up letting their business grow. But within cryptocurrency, you'll see that word partnerships, and that stands out more than anything else. So going into that, I want to just talk about more with Conflux Network. So do you guys have any plans for any future exchange listings? I have to ask this because then everyone would hurt me if I didn't.
Yeah, I can't say who, but like we do. But just to like, we're looking at the market right now and timing it honestly, like when it's best. And so there's more exchanges, more wallets like on tap right now, but we're just like strategically looking on actually when to deploy. I'm sorry, that's not very like clear, but like that's business. Like, sorry, gotta keep it close.
Yeah, no, that's good. So my next thing I want to just talk about, because we've talked about a lot, and then you also said that if people stay tuned, they'll end up hearing more. And how can people stay in touch with you all for future announcements, but then also just communicating with the team?
Yep. Honestly, okay, if you want to communicate with the team, go to our Discord, which is Conflux Network. Like Twitter, which is at Conflux_network, is a pretty good way to follow news. And of course, we have our Telegram, Conflux_English, because we have a massive Chinese community, of course, as well. That's the one that I'm assuming most people would want to follow here. I'm pretty active on Discord. You can find me there. Like, actually, my Discord handle is actually SmoothCB, which is my old school gamer tag from Halo a long time ago. So I just kept that, and that's just that's my alter ego right there. So when I make a currency, like my own currency, it'll be $SmoothCB.
Yep, and we'll know who did it.
Exactly.
So I want to switch it back up really quickly to bridge it back into sports. So do you have a favorite sport or a favorite sports team?
Yeah, like I played basketball like most of my life. I'm going to say they don't exist right now, but the Seattle Supersonics,
yes,
are my favorite team, and we're hoping to bring it back here. And so I grew up with a lot of like children of players from the Sonics, and I played basketball with a lot of their kids and whatnot. And so like 100% Seattle Supersonics.
So that's a big one. They just got the hockey team there. So yep. I do feel as though it's one of those, because they will start to expand. I live over in Washington, D.C. area, and I remember there were rumors at one point, like the Kings or somebody were going to move to Virginia Beach, or let's see if the Sonics will go down there. And if you notice, there's so much love still in Seattle that I believe, if not in the next couple of years, before our lifetime, they're going to bring the Seattle Supersonics back. So. Yeah, because they did the same thing with the Charlotte Hornets. They moved them to New Orleans, and they were kind of like, this fan base in Charlotte kind of wants to come back. Plus, the Hornets and the Sonics were like those old school teams. When you think of the Sonics, you think of like Gary Payton, you think of Kevin Durant when he was there, you think of Sean Kemp, and like those players up there. You even hear Russell Wilson bring them up. And there was just so much love there. And it's just the Seahawks more so. They have the Mariners, but the Mariners got to step up a lot of things. They believed in Robbie Cano, going to do things. And you had Ichiro Suzuki up there too. But another thing I want to bring in with the sports aspect is you hear about players such as Russell Okung and then Saquon Barkley, but then you have different things that FTX is doing. What are your thoughts when you hear of all these sports athletes or owners and teams that are starting to get into the cryptocurrency aspect?
I mean, like, first of all, like, really appreciate it because they're giving a lot of exposure to the industry. And I think, like, it just legitimizes things. I think, they are taking a risk, but like, honestly, if you're doing Bitcoin, I think, like, you're pretty safe out there. Like, you know, it's going to be volatility, as we all know. Yeah. But again, I think they're able to take risks too. I don't think anyone's doing their first contract like in Bitcoin. So I think a lot of these gentlemen have like made a ton of money, and they can see it as an opportunity that they can take. But again, I really appreciate it, you know, because it is, again, giving the exposure, like, you know, to the general public of what cryptocurrency is.
Yeah. So bringing that up, and Chris explained a good point, because Saquon Barkley, for everyone out there, he's not using his actual salary in Bitcoin. He's taking his endorsement and marketing money in Bitcoin. And then also Trevor Lawrence, he agreed to a marketing endorsement deal with the cryptocurrency company. And it's one of those things that they're not taking their actual salary yet. Spencer Dinwiddie is the only one out there that has been actively wanting it. So is Russell Okung. And they're both doing it from a strategic standpoint. Russell Okung is kind of similar to Michael Saylor. They're just putting everything on it, a get rich or die trying mentality of, we're just going to try and put it all out there. And you'll start to see it come along slowly but surely. But it's been very important seeing athletes, and this is why we wanted to bring up the channel, because there are a lot of people out there that appreciate sports, and now they're starting to wonder, why is Trevor Lawrence, why is Saquon Barkley getting involved in Bitcoin? It will probably take bigger athletes. If people saw like LeBron James, or even like Aaron Judge, or for you Angels fans out there, Shohei Ohtani, if he did it, then a lot more people would start getting involved. You have Tom Brady doing it, but he's doing it from like a different angle. He hasn't come out saying like, we're doing Bitcoin all over here in Brady land, but it's more so like the NFT aspect. So I do think that it is very important bridging the two. You will start to see a lot of NFTs ends up starting to do it with like tickets or in-game stuff. So it's a big thing that I see and will continue to come about. Do you have any other information you would like to give out for everyone at Conflux before we ask our special question?
I mean, I think we covered it pretty well here. I think I really appreciate like the opportunity to educate, I guess, a little bit. Thank you.
Yes. So everyone out there, if you've been watching, you know the question you always like to ask. So Chris, we got to do it to you. So if you could sit down and have dinner with any 4 people, past or present, who would it be and why?
And why? Okay. So I guess I'll start with Musk. So I know he knows what he's doing, but also obviously, because I could set him straight and not manipulate the market so much. Because that'd be one thing. But I love what he does. Like on his season, it's very inspirational. But I like to talk some crypto sense into him a little bit. Yeah. Let's see. Like I want to say Confucius, just because just like philosophy and just. Especially as a Westerner, kind of like Confucius, like really, if you understand some about Confucius, you can understand a lot about like, you know, how like Chinese society works, a lot of Asian societies, like, you know, where they come from and, you know, why the people do what they do, which is like, I think it's pretty important to understand how other people think. And so like Confucius would be like that dude right there. Einstein, just like, I mean, he's the preeminent, like, I don't know, scientists like in modern history. Of course, there's Tesla and there's like, you know, Hawking and everything out there, but you know, Einstein really broke the doors open for everything. So I'll just be really curious to pick his brain, especially now, like ask him about crypto. What do you think?
I know.
Yeah, man, seriously. Maybe then George Washington too, like you know, kind of see what's up. Like I know him and Jefferson had some different opinions on economies and whatnot. Maybe talk a little bit about some more Jeffersonian economics with him. How they could like we're seeing that in crypto a bit right now, and so maybe like, I mean, I think he did a pretty good job founding the country, but like some of the economic perspective would be great to like maybe mediate between like something from Jefferson and him between there or something like that, you know, with how it may move forward.
Yeah. So what's crazy is you brought up 2. One, Elon Musk. I remember whenever I used to do different interviews and stuff, people would always say, if you can sit down and eat dinner with one person, who would it be? And I would say this years ago, Elon Musk. But now the reasons why I would say Elon Musk are different, because I would say something similar to you, like, dude, why are you doing this to the cryptocurrency? Why are you 1 minute saying Floki, then the next minute you're saying Shiba Inu, then you're saying Dogecoin, but then you're like, oh, I had Bitcoin, it was SpaceX and everything else. It's kind of like, stay on path and stop trying to make everything go volatile in your own different direction. And then you guys want to create this committee and stuff. But you can just tell from Elon's perspective, he realizes he has a good amount of control over people's minds. I wouldn't say the market, I'll say people's minds, because whatever Elon says, people want to do. He's very much a genius in the way that he created Tesla, because there's so many other EV companies that are out there that are now trying to end up catching up to him. Another one was George Washington, because you brought up Thomas Jefferson. I just started learning more about the Jefferson economics ideas and thoughts that he had. And I thought it was just really interesting. Einstein, of course, is one that, what would Einstein think, or how would he think about everything going on now? So I always like that. And Confucius, that's the first time anyone said that. And I've been talking to people for a while about that. So I really like that one. With that being said, I want to just first start off by saying thank you, Conflux Network, for giving me the time to talk to Chris today. This is one that I really did appreciate, because how you broke down everything. I like to say I was able to be a student and learn more, not only about the company, but also about blockchain in itself. And it's one of those, you can tell a lot about the people behind the company and how they'll articulate things. Certain coins, you might never be able to talk to them. So it leaves you a little bit hesitant, would you want to invest or would you want to talk to the team more? But you were able to articulate either Discord, Telegram, or even Twitter. And I can vouch and say that they are very active on the Discord and Telegram as well. I can even talk to them on Twitter. So I really do appreciate that, Chris. With that being said, do you got anything for the people?
Oh, thank you for your time. And like, honestly, like hit me up. You got questions, like you got anything. Like I just want to grow this industry together. And so just like, let's do it together. And thank you for your time, Christian, with the whole team, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. With that being said, NBA players, y'all got that money, get paid. I'll catch you later.
Bye-bye.